She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about money. Yes, money and millennials. There is a connection with this incredible group of people. I'm a mother of 5. I'm a grandmother of 8. I gave birth to millennials. I love who they are. I love that they are a rallying group of people. I love the creativity that's inside of them. I also love that they want to do things different. They want to make a mark. They want to leave a legacy. This is not the same as the generation that they were raised by. The generation that the millennials were raised by largely were stuff-oriented people. What do I mean by that? Well, we competed with the Joneses, right? We competed with our cars, with our houses, with our trips, with our clothes, with the shopping, just overindulgence in every way, and tried to pass that down to our kids. Fortunately, Hans and I woke up to the hummus a long time ago. In fact, about 17 years ago, where we were like, what are we doing, man? We had almost $1 million worth of debt. Can you believe that? Between a house, cars, and credit cards, we had crazy amounts of debt, and we were not happy. We were chasing after the so-called American dream, which was like the so-called let's end up broke, depressed, and wanting to commit suicide and ending up divorced. That was the plan that we were on. We were a mess in every way and shape and form of the word. Mess. My health was bad. Our marriage was bad. Our finances were bad. And our business was about to change because the doctor gave me orders that I couldn't work anymore, which meant that our income was going to change to the tune of at least $1 million. And through time, it would even decrease even more than $1 million. So we woke up, man. It's like we came out of a drunken stupor. Yeah. Have you ever been drunk? I just asked that question. Listen, I know that even if you're listening to this on Christian radio or Christian TV, I know that you know someone who's been drunk before. Okay, probably wasn't you, but you might know somebody. But that hangover, that financial hangover is not fun. And neither is the relationship hangover, and neither is the health hangover because of the choices that we're making. What I love about the millennials is they want to do things different. And here on the Dani Johnson Show, we're about doing things different. We are about coming against the status quo of success that has tripped millions of people all over the world and put them on a path of chasing after some kind of dangling carrot that just seems to be a little bit further ahead of where they're at, that has tripped people up into debt, that has caused people to lose their relationships and put things on a pedestal that don't belong. And instead of valuing relationships and family and having a good life with each other, instead it's all about status and stuff that you got to manage and the headaches that come with it and the pain and the suffering that it all causes. I'm not saying money is bad, but I am saying money is a tool and it is designed to be used for something great, not something that's going to destroy you. And there is a way to get a whole heck of a lot of it, friend. If you're hungry, you're teachable, you're willing to learn, you're willing to work, and you're willing to give it a try. But more importantly, that money has a purpose. Money has a bigger purpose than just stuff. There's a legacy you're supposed to leave behind, and there's a work you're supposed to do with it while you're here on planet Earth. So, millennials, I want you to listen to this. There is somebody, in fact, I'm looking at it, moneyish.com wrote an article all the way back in July that it was stated this: why millennials are fat and broke. Who is this guy? How dare him? That is like the rudest title I have ever read. But obviously it got our attention. Why are millennials fat and broke? That's just downright mean. But when you dig into this, you kind of discover there's actually some truth to this. And I believe that our millennials are being misled. I believe they are being led like cows to slaughter or pigs to slaughter. And as much as they can't stand being manipulated, as much as they can't stand being misled by anybody, they don't like the manipulation that happens through the media. Unfortunately, they are succumbing to it without even recognizing it. So we're going to talk about those tall tale signs of being completely duped by the media and society that is trying to trip up this next generation financially to make sure that they are never strong financially. Once we expose this, then you, who are a millennial, you're going to stand firm on solid ground. You're going to make sure that you say, not my life, not on my watch. I ain't going to be broke like my parents, and I'm not going to be broke like you want me to be. Why would they want you to be broke? Because people who are broke are afraid. And fearful people are easy to control. That's why. That's why. So if you can be seduced into habits that will control your life, you will be enslaved financially. You'll be even enslaved in a job. You'll be even enslaved in a relationship, all because of habits that unfortunately your parents were not paying attention when they handed you the coffee, when they started to train you to eat out several nights a week, when they began to train you by giving you everything you craved. They set you up for failure. Now, your parents aren't bad people. Their parents did it to them. They simply wanted to give you everything they didn't get. But in all reality, was this wise? We're going to find out right now. So why? Why is it that this article was written? Why millennials are fat and broke. Millennials spend more than an average of $2,300 per year than they did, more than $2,300 per year than the older generation on 5 key items. So what does that mean? They're spending $2,300 more per year on groceries, gas, restaurants, coffee, and cell phone bills. Wow. And their parents' generation is broke. So what in the world is that going to lead them to? What is it? Here's the stats, friends. 98% of the population is dead or dead broke by the age of 65, depending on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. That stinks. That's wrong. In a free country, in a place where you can be all you can be, in a place that is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, and yet 98% of us are going to be broke or dead at 65? People are carrying more debt today, and they don't understand why. Why? We've been lulled to sleep financially. We've been seduced into an unhealthy, toxic relationship with credit cards. We've been seduced, lusted into restaurants that seem to say they can meet every one of our needs, but instead, we end up with a bellyache, gaining weight year after year. So if the generation before the millennials are broke, and now the millennials are spending $2,300 more in these 5 key areas, what does it look like for their future? How is it going to be any different? I'll tell you what, no one's going to do anything about it besides you. No one. No one at all. The average millennial eats out 5 times per week and buys coffee 3 times per week. That's according to MarketWatch.com. The average millennial spends $797 a month on groceries. That's moneyish.com. 42% of millennials go to a bar at least once a week. That's fortune.com. These people who did these surveys, these people who cited this information, all I know is these numbers are downright scary. They are. Almost $800 a month spent on food. Well, when I raised my family, I had a budget of $20 per person per week. Yes, I said that. $20 per person per week. If I got a little spicy, a little extra spicy, and I got a little extra fun in my food budget, all right, it was $25 per person per week on food. And yet these millennials have been trained by who? Society, their parents, their friends, their other influences that they have in their life. They've been trained to fail financially, and how? Consuming it. Let me tell you what $800 a month produces. It produces one expensive defecation. Yep, flush it. You're flushing $800 a month in the toilet. That's not just cash in the trash, man. That's cash in the toilet. Friend, this has got to stop. It absolutely has to stop. So are you a millennial that found yourself in that same exact situation? We're going over to Asia. We're not going to Asia. Asia's in Virginia. That sounds confusing, doesn't it? But Asia's on the phone. from Virginia. That's a beautiful name, by the way. I've only met one other Asia. Love the name.
Thank you.
All right. Come on, girl. Tell me. Are you one of them millennials that's finding yourself in the place of those statistics?
Unfortunately, yes. I used to actually spend $10 daily on lunch. So basically $50 a week just on lunch.
On one meal? On just one meal?
Yeah. But luckily, I don't do that anymore because one of my goals is to lose weight. So I'm just going to be doing what you said in your advice and just eating out my kitchen for all of January.
That is so smart. So meaning you have, hold on a second, time out, girlfriend. You just exposed yourself. You're saying that you've heard me teach, like, eat all the food that's in your pantry, your fridge, and your freezer, right? Don't go to the grocery store, eat everything in there. You'll actually lose weight, and you're going to save, well, in this case, you might save about $800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it was really funny because I went to the grocery store last night to pick up some stuff from my grandmother, and I was going to buy a green pepper, but I was like, nope, I'm going to just stay in my kitchen. And when I went home, there was actually already a green pepper in my refrigerator.
That you totally forgot that you bought.
Yeah.
So check it out. So you have a bunch of food inside your house, and you as a millennial were spending $10 every day on lunch, which again is $50 a week during the work week. $50 times 4 weeks is how much? $200.
Mental math.
That's like $200 a month on just lunch. Here's the kicker for me. What in the world were you eating for $10?
It was just like a little bistro place. It was different, but it basically added up to $10. It was basically like very healthy food, like tofu and stuff like that.
Okay, now check it out. Do you hear what you just said? So you were spending $10 per day, $200 a month on a bistro that served healthy food, but it made you gain weight.
Yeah.
So how healthy was it?
It was just quote healthy. You know, the tofu and the sprouts and the veggies and stuff like that.
So the question I have is if the food that was so-called healthy made you gain weight and hurt your finances, was this a healthy choice?
No, it definitely wasn't.
No. You see what I'm saying? Now you're confirming what I said, that we have been deceived. We've been completely deceived because these places know how to market well. They know that the millennials want to eat healthy, yet the millennials have gained more weight than the generation before them, and they're spending more money on this healthy food, but they have a weight problem. 1 in 4 millennials are obese. 1 in 4 millennials are obese. That's not overweight. That's obese.
Definitely, yeah.
And why? Because we are totally being deceived. Completely being deceived of eating healthy and spending more money, but it ain't working. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
If you want to raise spoiled, rotten brats in your home, now's a good time to stop watching, because when we come back, Dani is going to equip you to raise successful kids. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Friend, I'm not very happy with what I'm seeing. The next generation has been targeted. They have been seduced. The next generation has been grabbed by the throat and thrown into a pit of slavery. This makes me as mad as one can get. Why? Because I gave birth to that next generation. And I woke up along with my husband 17 years ago going, no. We cannot raise spoiled, rotten brats. We've got to raise a generation that understands hard work, personal responsibility. We've got to raise a generation that if they want something, they're going to go out there and make their own money to get it themselves. We knew that our kids were being privileged because why? Mom and Dad grew up poor. Hans and I grew up poor. I was a homeless woman. In fact, just 3 months before I met my husband, who was an 18-year-old kid with crooked teeth, short, and broke. He'll say he wasn't broke. He had $3,000 in the bank. I guess that was pretty good for an 18-year-old. Nonetheless, we saw the writing on the wall, and we went, wait, whoa, hold on. We're hurting our kids if we're raising them in privilege. They've got to understand that not everyone lives like this. They got to understand that there's poverty out there. They got to understand that they're going to have to work hard for anything that they want. They're going to have to learn to solve their own problems. But unfortunately, not everybody in my generation saw life the same way. Oh no, man, they wanted to live their life vicariously through their children. And what has happened? Let me tell you what has happened. First of all, the average millennial shoulders more student loan debt than previous generations. The average millennial spends more than 30% of their income on housing, and they can't cover a $500 emergency. They're spending $2,300 more per year in the area of food, gas, restaurants, coffee, and cell phones. They are strapped. And whose fault is it? Well, I'm going to tell you who I think's fault is it. It ain't the government's fault. It's us as parents. We must have fell asleep at the wheel and wanted to be our kids' friend instead of being their advocate. We didn't do our job of helping to prepare them for the reality financial life that they were going to be facing if we continue to eat out all the time. If we continue to spoil their behinds rotten, then we hurt them somehow. Not to mention society that's pressing up against them that they're not cool if they don't eat out all the time. They're not cool if they're not at Starbucks. That they're not cool if they don't have a cell phone. Guess what I taught my kids? That the only ones that were cool was the ones that didn't do that. That's what I told my kids. I programmed them with the opposite way of thinking. I said, you go see what all your friends are doing and do the exact opposite, because those kids are going to end up in trouble financially and in trouble in lots of other ways. So it's your choice. You want to go with the way with the masses, who's going to end up dead or dead broke at age of 65? Or do you want to be set apart and different? And when you have had success, they come to you going, please tell me, how did you do it? Listen, life is tough. It is. So it's even tougher when you're talking about this kind of influence. We're going over to the phone. We've got Harlan Bontrager.
Hi.
Hi. How is you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So what about you? Are you spending like these kids are?
No.
Tell me why.
Just because I don't want to.
How did you escape it? Because everybody else around you they're strapped. The millennials are strapped, and it's not right and it's not fair, and it's really messed up, and it makes me madder than a hornet. But how did you escape this? How did you not end up being that kid that's eating out all the time, has all those student loan debts and all the other debts, spending money foolishly because whatever the reason is? How did you escape?
A plan. I don't know. I just value, like, I don't know. That stuff doesn't make me happy. So It's like, I don't want to have, you know, I would rather, I don't know. I just follow a budget, and, I value, like, having money in the bank.
Yeah.
And, it just took a long time to break those habits, and it's a constant thing of constantly, keeping those habits stuck in. And I have a lot to learn still, but I don't know. I actually don't watch a lot of media. So I don't like you say, don't do what everyone else does. Well, everyone else, overspends, and everyone else, everyone else goes out and buys lunch. Yep. And personally for me, I find satisfaction in even though it's kind of weird, I guess, I make my own lunch.
That's awesome. I make my own lunch too. I had a turkey sandwich today. It was 327 calories. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
My name is Andres, and I'm from Latvia. Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a struggling English teacher back home. I had a language school that I started when I was 21, and had grown it to be pretty okay in my city. But at the same time, I had acquired a debt of $60,000. In a matter of 8 to 9 months, I got rid of my debt, and by 2011, we had our first $1 million year. This has been amazing. We grew our school from about 100 students to 2,000 students, and I can only highly recommend for you to come to the next event and be part of this community and learn the tools that will help you to succeed.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, my family and I were hemorrhaging under the pressures of debt. Since attending First Steps to Success in January of 2014, my family and I have paid off over $147,000 in 19 months. We're completely consumer debt-free. We have restored relationships, and our business is growing at a rate of 15% at every event. Your next step is to sign up for the next First Steps to Success and start creating your own story.
My name is Jeff Conyers, and prior to First Steps to Success, I was a struggling business owner. I had discovered that my business account went negative $5,000, and I realized that I did not have a business plan and I needed to do something. Fast forward to 1 year after, I have now created, just by implementing the tools at First Steps to Success, over $50,000, created another their business, improved my personal and business relationships. Man, it's like the story is forever changing, and it just gets better and better. I don't know about you or what you're going through, but I would highly recommend getting to First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, we were drowning under a mountain of debt. We were heading to divorce court. We had failing businesses and toxic relationships. Since plugging into First Steps to Success, our marriage has been restored. We have paid off over $56,000 in 11 months. We've helped our community pay off over $300,000 in 14 months. My business has grown in over 600% in 4 months. And for the first time, I could say I'm just loving life. I have great relationships. So if you are fine where you are, then this event is not for you. But if you're ready to reach your goal and to change your life, then I highly recommend that you get registered for the next event.
Hi, my name is Jill Kearns. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Prior to coming to First Steps to Success, my husband and I were struggling financially and were hurting in our relationship a lot. We needed more time together, and we just were struggling with that because of the finances. And so since plugging in, we've actually paid off over $280,000 in debt. We're completely debt-free, and more than anything else, the look on my husband's face of relief and excitement about where our future lies, and the traveling and the fun, enjoyable times that we'll get to spend together as a family is totally worth it. So if you want to have better relationships with your significant other, your children, if you have a desire to be completely debt-free and released from that bondage for whatever reason, whatever the burdens are, your next step is to get to First Steps to Success right now.
So prior to getting started to DaniJohnson.com, I was a college dropout. I was working a bottom of the barrel type job. I started plugging into her training. I've skyrocketed through the ranks of corporate America. I've tripled my income in the last 5 years. That's all fine and dandy, but it wasn't, there's a part of me that had a part missing. So I ended up using Dani's prospecting skills, and I ended up meeting the love of my life. Since then, we've paid off $32,000 of debt since October 2014. So get here now. This is the greatest thing ever. You have to see this. The skills and strategies Dani teaches are unbelievable. They totally took someone like me with no education and helped me just like multiply my efforts. So you need to be here.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So, we just heard from a young millennial that said, hey, I've heard it be said that find out what everyone else is doing and do the exact opposite. So I'd much rather make my own lunch. Everyone else is buying lunch. I'd rather make my own. This is what I find to be really interesting, because so many of the millennials kind of have this thing about them where they're like, I don't want to be anything like my parents. I don't know. I don't want to work like they did. I don't want to be owned by money like they were. You know, I don't want the big house. I don't want the cars. I don't want the stress. I don't want the pressure. I don't want the debt. Yet they're just doing the same thing, spending money on different things. So the millennials maybe are not spending their money on stuff, but they're spending it on food. How do we know this? Because 1 in 4 millennials are obese. I wonder what the numbers are about how many of them are overweight. Because it's one thing to be overweight, it's a whole other thing to be obese. That's way different than the generations before. So millennials, I'm warning you right now. Come on, listen. I am a mom. I raised 5 of you. You're my favorite generation. Sorry to say it. You're my favorite generation. My generation ain't my favorite generation. You're my favorite generation. That's the facts. And the fact is don't make the mistakes that they made. They made the mistake of working super hard for a whole lot of money to do what with it? Buy stuff and try to impress people. But the millennials are doing the same thing. They're buying coffee and impressing people. They're eating out, impressing people with it. Do you understand? They're not accumulating stuff, but they're creating really expensive toilet flushes. So Harlan, you had told our call screener, that you're spending $30 per week on food. And you like to make your own lunch. Now, have you always been this way? Did your parents teach you to be this way?
No, I had 60. I'm debt free. I had a ton of debt after college.
Really? How much debt did you have?
I had $62,000 of debt.
Wow, that's a lot on a young man. Okay, so mom and dad didn't teach you how to make your own lunch and bring it to work. They didn't teach you how to save money. No?
No.
Okay, so you woke up one day with $62,000 worth of debt going, now what do I do? What did you do? How did you fix it?
I just decided that I want to get debt free, and how did I fix it? Like, for me, like I've definitely, fallen off the bandwagon here and there.
Yeah.
But I make a budget and try to follow it to the best of my ability. And like, just what I do is basically I just go and I paid off like 1 month. It started off like paying off like a $200 debt, and then it rolled over into, all of a sudden, I'm, just like throwing off over whatever money I had over, and just like all of a sudden I paid off a student loan, and then I paid off another student loan. Wow. It's just like that day to day thing. It's basically what I did. Is just like just paying off that debt and just basically making that, every week I have something going towards that, and it's like, it took me 3 years, but I'm debt free now. So
wow, debt free in 3 years, though, Harlan. That's amazing. Yeah. Do you realize that your parents' generation have been in debt their entire life? So only taking 3 years to pay off $62,000 worth of debt was huge. Thank you so much for joining us today, dude. Thanks for contributing to the show. I appreciate you. Okay, next we're going over to Shonda. Shonda Wright from British Columbia. Shonda, where are you in this whole millennial? I didn't write the article. Our office did not write this article either. Why millennials are fat and broke, which I think is so offensive and so rude. But man, when you start looking at the statistics, it's true. It's wrong. What's your take on this?
Well, I'm just 30, but yeah, I was absolutely subject to that. I mean, 2 years ago, I had over $100,000 in debt. I was throwing out food every garbage day, spending over $800 a month on food, eating out 5 to 10 times a week, at war with everyone in my life, depressed, just overwhelmed, right?
Wow.
And then my mentor, Melanie Greeno, told me to come and see you at First Steps.
Wow.
And that was April 2016. And I remember you said, can you imagine owing no one anything?
Yes.
And like just broke me. And I also hadn't been promoted or seen a raise in my income for years. And I was like, I'm not prospering here. It's because I'm not, handling what I have well.
Yeah.
So now, about 18 months later, I'm 100% debt free. I have 3 rental properties. I have 3 other cash flow investments. I have 2 savings accounts. I spend less than $50 a week on groceries. I spend less than $50 a week eating out with my friends. I'm single. I'm on my own. I eat everything in my kitchen every week. Love batch cooking. 1 lasagna, you cut that up, you freeze it.
That's right.
At the end of a long day, you can just throw that in the oven and
bam,
get it healthy. Trade it out with some turkey, and you can, make it healthy. Throw in a ton of veggies, and I've actually been able to go down a waist size. I'm really strong now. I can squat like 200 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And all the money I save on my groceries each month, I spend building homes for the poor in Nicaragua and feeding orphans. And it's just so much better than going in the trash can or on my hip.
Oh my gosh.
It's been life-changing.
Oh my gosh.
I got a lot of flack for not, wanting the Starbucks or drinking the water when everyone else was out at a restaurant ordering whatever they were ordering.
Isn't that the weirdest thing, Shonda, that we can actually suffer humiliation when we go out with our friends and we choose to get water instead of a glass of wine?
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? That peer pressure is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and yet everyone around the table was $100,000 in debt, just like you. Blowing $800 a month on food, just like you. Totally depressed, toxic relationships, and getting fat. And yet they want to shun you because you don't want to spend money on a drink? Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Girlfriend, you are such an inspiration. I'm telling you, I am so blown away by you. So here, you took your $800 food budget down to $50 a week. $800 a month down to $50 a week, which is amazing. You're cooking. That makes you feel better. Now, here's the main question I have for you. So you've paid off $100,000 worth of debt in 18 months. You are completely debt-free. You now have accumulated wealth and assets. You were depressed before. Are you depressed still?
No way. Never had more peace and hope and joy, like the feeling in my heart. And like, I just feel this responsibility to share it with others. And, knowing that they don't have to. You don't have to be trapped and, shackled like that. People just assume that debt is part of life, and it's just not.
Wow.
Just not.
Okay, so check it out. Here in about 4 days, 4 days, January 19th, 20th, and 21st is First Steps to Success in San Diego, California. What do you say to that person that is 30 years old and single, who is in the same exact position that you were in, that your mentor had the guts and the courage to say, you need to get down to America and go to First Steps to Success and do everything Dani Johnson tells you to do? What are you going to say to that person that's watching this program right now, and there's only 4 days left to get themselves registered and get into San Diego?
There's two things I would say. One is you will not recognize yourself a year from now, and it will be the most beautiful feeling that you've ever felt. And the second thing is I dare you. I dare you to do it. What's the worst that can happen?
That's true. The worst that can happen is you can end up gaining another 50 pounds in 2018. The worst that can happen is you can add another $50,000 worth of debt. The worst that can happen, you can add up in even more depressed than you are right now. The worst that can happen is you end up losing the job that you're not grateful for, that you're not advancing in. The worst that can happen is your finances can get worse. If you don't step up and do something different, you're going to be exactly the same, if not worse. So look what Shonda did. She took the advice from one person. She jumped on a plane. She crossed a border from Canada to the U.S. and came down when she could not afford it. Obviously, she had $100,000 worth of debt. In fact, did you use a credit card to get yourself to First Steps to Success?
I have done everything from borrow from neighbors to sell things to, borrow from coworkers to pay one visa with another visa and then pay it between things. You did everything. It wasn't easy.
You did whatever it took. You did whatever it took. You did whatever it took. And your life depended on it. Could you imagine? What do you think? Where do you think your life would be had you told her no, or I'll wait till it's closer, or I'll wait till I have the money?
I don't know.
Scary.
But I'm really glad I don't have to know.
Yeah. Scary to think about, isn't it, Shonda?
I could be dead. I could be dead.
And now you're 30 with income-producing assets, an income that grew, and completely debt-free, and you've lost weight, and you're healthier, and you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. All from one decision. One decision that you could have said no. You could have said, I don't have the money. You could have said, I don't have the time. You could have said, I'll wait. You could have said. But instead you said, I'm in, I'm doing this thing. I got to make this happen.
And I had 10 days notice. And it was
10 days notice. So there we go. 10 days notice. Come on. This person watching this right now has 4 days notice. January 19th, 20th, and 21st, First Steps to Success. Get your ticket before it goes up to $7.99. Get it now. It's going to go up. And it's going to be a higher price if you wait. DaniJohnson.com. Click on events. First Steps to Success. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Coming up next, you're young and smart and you've got money. So what? We'll be back with more of Dani Johnson after this.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first Steps to Success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row right in the center next to some amazing people because we were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process over the last 4 years and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experience different things, and we experience a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And so that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there's someone in our church, the pastor, and so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Dani, here's the bottom line. My expenses are low, so I can spend as much money on food as I want to. Okay, you're right. So for right now, your expenses are low. But what happens when? What happens when? Do you think that your expenses are always going to stay low? And are you planning for when the car needs to be repaired? And are you planning for the inevitable, yes, health challenges that truly are in your future? Don't say that, Dani. You shouldn't be saying things like that. Let's look at the facts. I had a heart attack at 24 years old. Was I planning on having that thing? Heck to the no, I wasn't planning. I had a nervous breakdown and almost took my life at 25. I had cancer at 24. Yeah, I had a nice tumor right here in my lymph gland. I was the healthiest eating crazy freak that you would ever meet. Taking all kinds of vitamins, eating super healthy, feeding my family healthy, and I ended up with cancer here and cancer on my throat. Skin cancer on my throat, a lymph node just huge like golf ball sticking out of my jaw. Okay, this all happened at 24 and 25. Not to mention at 30, I was diagnosed with a fatal heart condition where we had to move. I had to stop. I had to close down a business. Okay? I wasn't planning on any of those things. Are you kidding me? I had my life planned out. I was living it according to design. And those things happened. But we had not planned for those things. We made tons of money and we spent it all. And we ate most of it. Sadly, we ate most of it. So don't be silly. Don't be silly. Just because your expenses are low and you're a millennial doesn't mean you should be foolishly spending $800 a month on food. You want to get ahead. You want to get ahead. You want to be wise. Going over to Brittany Howell from Florida. Brittany, you're a millennial. You're 28 years old. Do you like being called a millennial?
No, not really.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. That's terrible. I think highly of millennials, to be honest with you. Everything, I love just about everything about that generation. I love that you guys want to be different. I love that you do not want to accumulate a bunch of junk. I love that you care about the poor. I love that you care about family. I love that about millennials. And sadly, they've been deceived. They've been duped. They've been brainwashed. They've been turned over to lust of food, organic food especially, because of all these great marketers like, yeah, organic food, we can play double. Listen to this, Brittany. Listen to this. This is crazy. Huffington Post reports that 1 in 4 people ages 18 to 29 are obese. This is more than triple the portion from 40 years ago. Millennials are increasingly health-conscious people. However, 52% of organic consumers are millennials. Millennials eat 52% more vegetables than the older generations. 40% of millennials eat a plant-based diet, but 1 out of 4 are obese. Okay, do you make any sense out of that?
No.
And they're carrying more debt. Your generation is carrying more debt. So here we are super health conscious and we're carrying more debt. We're spending more money on food, but we have more health problems.
Mm-hmm.
What do we make of that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, thankfully, I'm not obese or my husband.
Praise
and
God.
We're both debt free. We have no debt.
No mortgage? Do you have a mortgage?
No, nothing.
Are you renting a property?
Yes, we're renting now, and our goal would be to save up to buy eventually.
Okay, so you're renting a property. You have no car debt. You have no student loans.
Correct.
Phenomenal. So proud of you. You are 28 years old, and how many kids do you have?
5.
Oh my gosh, girl. Wow. Oh my gosh. What are the ages of the kids?
5, 4, 2, 14 months, and 9 months. We have 3 biological, 1 adopted, and 1 foster baby.
Oh my gosh. All right. So you're debt-free. You're 28. You have 5 children under the age of 5.
Yeah.
How much are you spending on food?
About $1,000 a month, or $250 a week.
Wow.
And we are in the statistic of we're 100% organic, grass-fed, raw milk, etc. And my husband and I have both been to your events. Probably been to about 15 year training seminars. I've been to about 8. We have loved them. Thank you so much for putting them on. They have been such a blessing to us. And I also have tried to listen to every radio show that we've done in the past few years about meal planning and budget. And so it can be discouraging sometimes when I hear the shows because I feel like I have implemented, buy the whole chicken, don't buy pre-cut food, only let your kids drink water, only eat out for date night once a week. And so we follow all those recommendations, have your cookbook, all that stuff. But it can be discouraging because our children are healthy. Even with having 5, they've never been to a doctor, never had Tylenol, never had an antibiotic, anything. So we feel like when we're debt-free and we don't do insurance, we don't do doctors, we don't do any of that, for us it's worth the extra money to do that because of the other things. But I know on your show you always say spend less. And so it can be a conflict between my husband and I because he's like, why aren't you spending $20 a week like Annie says? And it's hard for me to explain. Well, I can't figure it out.
You can't figure it out. Yeah. Okay. So here's what it is. Let me help you. You see, the difference is that you're not in debt and you're not strapped financially. So when we finally came out of our drunken debt stupor, we were desperate to figure it out. And so because we were desperate to figure it out, literally, we went from, over $1 million a year in income down to $60,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when that happens, you're like, whoop. And there just was not the ability to spend $1,200 a month on food anymore. And so if you actually went to the grocery store, okay, so right now you're spending $1,000 a month for 7 people in the household, right?
Yes.
Okay, so figure that. How much is that per person that you're spending?
Oh, offhand, I don't know. That's $250 a week.
Divided by 7. $250 a week divided by 7.
I think that's 30. A little over 30, 35.
Okay, you're not that far off, are you?
Yeah, if my math is right, that's not too far off.
Okay, well, if you're probably on your cell phone and I don't have it right now. Okay, it's $36 per person. You're spending $36 per person, okay? All right, so $20 from 36 is not that far off. Okay, that's not that far off. So what if this month you decide, I'm going to get that number down to 30? Okay. And the following month, I'm going to get, and this is what you do. You only bring $30 per person to the store with you. Okay. Because then what you're going to find are what the absolute essentials are that you actually need. I bet. Now, come on, Brittany, if I came to your house and I looked in your pantry, your fridge, and your freezer, do you think that Dani Johnson might find a few excessive things that might be in there that are absolutely not necessary?
No, actually.
I beg to differ. And here's why. Does your family drink milk?
Yes, the babies drink raw milk, and because of the issues and stuff, and then we do milk in our smoothies, but we don't drink it plain. Okay, so I don't buy milk. That's one place that's very expensive and is not necessary. Milk does not do a body good. That was actually a campaign from the 80s done by the dairy farmers. It was lobbied. This was a lobbied marketing plan to convince people through propaganda that milk does a body good, to get people to buy more milk products. That's what it was about. Follow the money trail. So I would guarantee you that there are items in your fridge, your pantry, that are not necessary, that you have literally, just like all of us, have come to this place of we got to have that. If we don't have, we got to have. We have to. But what if you did not have $1,000 a month to spend? How would you figure it out? So I want you to challenge yourself, because you said it's like, man, it creates contention. Girlfriend, challenge yourself. You can do it. You will find that there's a few things that you guys have grown a tasting to, a liking to, some certain habits that you have justified because you have no debt. But what if you only had $30 per person to spend on food, and that's all you bring to the store? That's all you allow yourself. I promise you're going to cherry pick the most important items, and some of the other things you'll forget about within a couple of months. Then the next month, get it down to 25. Then the following month, get it down to 20. You're going to be so happy. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show. More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Put the Dani Johnson Show to work for you by advertising your product or service. The Dani Johnson Show has tens of thousands of listeners who are just like you. People who need what you're offering but just don't know it yet. Savvy business owners and marketing directors advertise on The Dani Johnson Show. To promote your products and services on The Dani Johnson Show, email john@danijohnson.com or call 866-760-8255.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
We've got someone from New Zealand on hold. We've got Pranez, I hope I pronounced your name right, a millennial who has had some success recently. Hi.
Hi, Dani. How are you?
I'm good. So you are 28 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've got 2 minutes before I have to wrap up the show. Tell me what you wanted to comment about millennials gaining weight and being in debt.
Well, since I have 2 minutes, I'll quickly share my story of how Dani Johnson, just the work you do has impacted me. So it's impacted me in 3 different areas. So I came to New Zealand when I was 18. I'm 28 now. And I came from a different faith. I was a Hindu, and then I experienced the love of Jesus, and I became born again. And through that process, I was looking for Christian mentors. So I came across, and I had a desire in my heart to do well with finances. So I came across you through Secret Millionaire.
Wow.
And I started really gleaning off that. I was like, man, I really want wisdom which is godly. And I don't want to get sucked into the world system. So I made a shift. I did an accounting degree, and then I ended up making a shift from accounting to sales because I was really passionate about that. And since then, I've tripled my income as of now through the principles which you've taught in Spirit-Driven Success, and also, like you mentioned, Best Success book written.
Yes.
When you say that. Also, the second area is relationships. I called you about 2 years ago, and there was a girl who I was potentially looking at dating, but it just wasn't. But you prophetically told me that, hey, you come from an Indian background. Have you ever thought of arranged marriage? So I actually got married a year ago, and it was arranged marriage, and it's been such a blessing. And then the third area has been spiritual. Through following your example, what you did at, One Nation, One Day at Nicaragua, that's really put a passion in my heart for orphans. I'm connected to an orphanage in Tanzania.
Yes.
Have been just pouring into them for 2.5 years. And I was on the verge of coming to Nicaragua. Obviously, you have, thousands of people who follow you, but, here's a little follower here in New Zealand who's been majorly impacted, and I actually ended up buying a house this year as well.
Wow.
So it's amazing at every big milestone of your life, you played a big part, and I consider you as my mentor. I tell all my friends at church, I'm like, I've got this mentor, she doesn't even know me.
Wow.
So that's my story, Dani.
Man, you just so blessed me. You really, really blessed me, and you paid off $50,000 worth of debt. This is amazing to me. God bless you. And I remember talking to you about the arranged marriage, right? When you started talking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, so thank you so much for calling. You really, really just blessed me. So there you go. There's some millennials that are making it happen and living so awesome. What a beautiful blessing to hear that. This is Dani Johnson. That's it for us today. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to see you at First Steps to Success this weekend, 19th, 20th, and 21st, San Diego. God bless.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.